we're started.
We're started.
This is it. Little
Don't mind the garbage trucks.
two-person pod.
Two-person pod. It's my first conversation here. You
Yeah,
had
it's
to
a
be
good practice.
my first guest, of course.
I had to take your first guest
Guest
virginity.
Sure. Yes.
So welcome back to the Rebirth podcast.
Welcome back to the Rebirth podcast, starring Matisse Qualia. Don't mind the garbage
Starring
trucks.
Caitlin Hill. What are you talking about?
Well, starring Caitlin Hill, but I guess guest appearances. Matisse Qualia.
That's right. And just hanging out here. So
This is kind of like the the Drake podcast. Where they're in bed.
Is it? What do you mean by that?
It's not. It's not.
What do you mean by that?
I honestly was just looking
This
at
is
the
my
screen and
this
I
is
was
my Bobby impression.
Oh,
What do you mean by that?
I was like, you're being really standoffish.
Yeah.
No, I just meant like, because we're in bed together and it's kind of funny just to be like chilling in bed. Literally, this is
Yeah, this is goals right here.
how we sleep, except for that we usually have Safi right here.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
So we got some gifts here from France.
Oh,
My dad just got back from France. Why don't
I
you
see
just
something that says my name on it, so I'm just gonna
get into that?
just open this up here. A little unboxing.
Yeah,
Unexpected
why not?
unboxing. Oh my God.
Yeah, this company, Evil Shit, they have like
Coriandre.
the best
Wow. 95%.
bath soaps.
Natural.
That Marseille soap. Savon Marseille.
Oh my God, it's mango and cilantro.
Oh. Well, at least you don't have to eat it.
That's true. Maybe I'll like the scent better than.
Probably not. Let's see.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Well, it's
I've never
coriander.
even heard
It's
of
coriander,
cilantro
not
being-
it's
not like the exact.
It's the seed. It's the seed
Okay,
coriander, not the.
And this is a body lotion. Oh, that's so nice. This brand is so.
Oh, it smells
amazing.
really good.
Let me smell. See, I can actually see how the smell of cilantro actually adds to that rather than takes. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't bother me. That little part that they took, it's like actually smells really good. That's exciting. I feel like I want to put some of this on right now. Oh my God, caramel. These must be for you.
Yeah,
Did you used to eat these when you were
in France?
Would
Yeah,
go to
they have
France.
them for sure.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. You definitely. Those are for you. Oh my gosh, look at these adorable notebooks.
Caitlin likes a good notebook.
I just love me a good notebook. And I just like there's 3 in here. I go through them. Like when I'm writing, I'm just like can go through like a notebook a month.
What do you like? Because I don't really write. I don't really read. I don't read or write. But what do you like to write? I mean, you have your like couple notebooks. Like,
I have different notebooks for different things. So I have like one notebook right now that's like my specific manifestation book, but like they're all manifestation books, but it's basically just like writing down notes around like things that I want to manifest or just like, I don't know, so many different things that come to me. I just like to write them down or things that I hear on podcasts that are interesting. And I mean, right now I'm doing this 31-day money, like rewiring the way that I look at money. It's been super powerful. And so every day I'm writing down whatever the activity is. And I'll go through like 4 pages for one activity. So like one day. So I'm just like writing it all out, getting it all down. And it's really powerful to put that pen to paper. I think we're so used to just using like the notes section in our phone now, which also like is very helpful, especially when I have like thoughts and ideas that come to me. I always have thoughts that come to me right before I go to bed, and my phone's just right there. So I'll just like write out whatever it is, whatever the idea is or the inspiration. But yeah, the pen and paper is just like a different vibe.
Right.
So very useful. They're so good with gifts.
Yeah,
Your family,
Sandrine put it together.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh my gosh. Straws.
Some cute little straws for the girls.
Oh my gosh, look at these. Oh, they're gonna love these little bath sponges.
Yeah.
Adorable.
Oh, tu parles français maintenant?
Ben oui, je parle français.
Of course, some sparkly crayons.
Except I'm like, pot les dents. What's that? Is that crayons?
Let's
I've never
see.
used that word. They're like sparkly crayons. Those are so adorable. Aww.
What does it say?
Pot les dents?
No, let me see.
What does that mean?
Oh, I think it's just pencils. It's just crayons in a different language.
Oh, it's like not even in French.
Potladen.
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 I guess in Europe, did they do it in like several
it's Netherlands or something.
Oh, okay. That's so funny. I was like trying to say
12
it in French.
12 Kluden.
Foam stickers. Oh, that's so cool. Aw, so sweet. That's so kind of them. They're so thoughtful.
Shout out the fam.
Shout out the fam.
So, what do you want to talk about this week? I mean,
I was thinking about just like parenthood. You know?
Yeah, how it's been going. So, I mean, the girls are 2.5 now. Well, almost 2.5, and Safia's 5.5. And been trying to figure things out, but it's been good. I mean,
I reflect a lot on like years previous, and this year I keep on thinking about what it was like last year, because last year was honestly one of the hardest times of my life. I think just managing that specific age, like when they're 18 months. Whoo!
yeah,
It's
no,
a tricky age. You know, they're just, and I was still waking up in the night. They don't have as much like understanding of their boundaries. So like where to go or what to do. They're just kind of all over the map. They have to be watched like hawks because they're still putting stuff in their mouths. And it was just a lot. Like I very clearly remember August of last year being like,
oh yeah, we were like struggling a lot, and we were like, we need help.
That was when we really realized that. And then you tore your ACL, and then the girls had, all three of them had hand, foot, and mouth. And
and then we were trying to interview people like,
and we were like, we need to actually find an au pair, but we didn't even have the time to find an au pair.
But we did.
We did, and she was amazing. She came literally at the perfect time, and it was really great for those 6 months. And I think we really, or was it 5 months? I think it was 5 months.
Something like that.
We really needed her for those months. And now when I look at it, I'm like, I don't actually feel like we need an au pair or like a nanny or someone to help us.
Not now, because we're sleeping in the night.
We're sleeping in the night. I think the number one priority, if we were to have more help, would be just to have someone like with cleaning, which we have someone that comes once a week, but just to, like a house manager. That would be like ideal. I mean, someone that just manages.
Or, I mean, eventually, I mean, you know, to dreaming and stuff. Obviously, yeah, house manager is someone who's just always, like, if you have a full-time person that works 40 hours a week, whether they're cleaning the house every day or prepping meals or prepping food or doing shopping or whatever it is, yeah, that's like...
that's
makes
goals.
Everything so much easier.
Goals right there.
Even just to have someone come every second day to clean up.
Yeah.
Just to clean up for a few hours.
Makes a big difference. Even if we don't have our weekly cleanings, that we have someone, like if our cleaner is sick or whatever, and she comes like it's been 10 days.
Oh no, yeah.
Fucking mess.
And
like it's like the floor, like we have to clean the floor, you know what I mean? Like, and I clean the table every night. I have to wipe it down, I have to wipe down the seats, I have to do this, I have to do that, but it's like it gets like really messy.
No,
so
for
you know,
sure.
but it's interesting, just I keep on thinking back to like what we were going through, and it's really nice to just be at this place where there's more ease with watching the kids. And also I realized that I really want to watch our kids. Like this time and of their childhood goes by so fast that I think through having, you know, our au pair that was living with us, I realized like we needed her for that chunk of time to help us, you know, thrive and get through that period. But now I'm like, I really want to spend time with our kids as much as possible. That is the absolute priority.
No, but that at that time last year, it was like, yeah, we wanted to spend time with our kids, but then we were exhausted. And then we were just not doing anything enriching for them.
Yeah, it's
true.
And
so when she was here, like she took them out every morning to go out and do something or go somewhere and play and whatever it was, be or, you know, social or whatever, while we could quickly recharge and then do some work and then, you know, do the nap time and do everything once they got home or whatever it was. But no, that was good. And
that was wild times. Like,
and now I feel like
there's
we have a good balance, and I don't think
there's a lot more ease. There's definitely challenging moments, but I feel like the sleep, that's like the main thing, is like getting that sleep, getting those hours, like not waking up in the night, not having me breastfeed in the night. That, like, having that recharge time is so vital.
No, that too, but also just being alone with all three kids is a lot easier now too. Back then, where it was like it was like during the day you can manage maybe for a few hours by yourself with the kids, and so did the au pair. But then like for nighttime, it was like crucial to have at least two people there.
That's so true.
And if it was just going to be one, it was going to be like a big challenge. Whereas now, you know, you can deal with all three of them when I'm at work.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a hard job, but
it's nicer to have two people, but it's not mandatory.
Right.
Like last year, I remember one time that I put them down to sleep by myself because I had to. We couldn't find anyone else to help. And I was like, oh, it'll be fine. I'll just get through it. But like, I literally had like PTSD for like months afterwards, because I was like, that was just so next level. Like just now there's just so much ease. Like I can get them out of the bath. I can put their clothes on. It's just a completely different ball game this year, which has been really nice. I actually took them for a drive by myself for an hour and a half to a lake and up in Squamish, and took them to the lake by myself and was fine. I mean, of course, that like we were with some friends, so I kind of had like them to be able to watch them for a second if I had to take one of them to the bathroom or whatever. But, and obviously there's water, so it was like, that's one thing that I was kind of worried about was, okay, well, if one goes in the water, then how am I going to watch after the other one? But they kind of like to stay together more now. They're not so much like running around everywhere. So I was able to manage it. But at the end of that day, I was like, whoa, like I did that. Like I felt like Superwoman. And then when I got home, you had made dinner, but then you went off to work. Yeah. So then I like literally spent the whole day with them and then put them to sleep. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. I did that, you know? And I think that's the thing that I didn't realize before having twins and before having more kids, because I couldn't wrap my head around it, especially as being an only child. Like I could not understand. I couldn't conceptualize how to manage 3 kids. And now I think I understand how you do it. I think like when you look at people that have 5, 6, 9 kids and you're like, how do they do it? I don't understand.
You just work together.
Yes, but also you as the parents, you go through a software upgrade.
Okay.
Like you really, you know what I mean? Like it's like,
big tech references.
When I know it's always easy to go back to like the computer or the car references though, when we're like comparing to humans. But you know, back when we had one kid, it was like, I was like iPhone 10, and now I'm like iPhone 14 plus, coming out with the new 15 this fall. And you know, whether
leveling up,
you just constantly level up, you constantly are getting these upgrades, so you're just adapting and you're adjusting. And I think that's how people have more kids. So I actually, when I look back on it, I actually think that when we had one, it was way harder for me. Way harder. And I don't know if it was because of my mindset.
Oh, for sure. It was your mindset. It was just like how you approached every situation was not necessarily being fully in it, but not knowing. I feel like the more you know and the more knowledge you get and experience, you just learn how to be more efficient and more prepared and more all the, like, it's just, it just comes with experience, right? Like,
yeah, totally. And your brain just sort of expands, I think. You just level up. And so now I get how people can have so many kids, because you just adapt to being able to know how to do it. You just having a little yawn there. Yeah. So yeah,
I'm still tired just because I'm sleeping through the night better.
That's the thing, though, is just because I'm saying, like, of course you up level, like you upgrade all these things. That doesn't mean it's not still challenging and it's still hard. Like, there still are those times where you're going through upgrades and you don't even want to be, you know, like you're like, oh my God. But also I feel like we've grown so much as parents in the sense of, like, we are more aware of how our response to things helps the kids as well. You know, like when we're taking care of ourselves, then we're able to be that grounded resource for them so that we can come back to them and react with them with a much more grounded response and a grounded place. But when we're not getting sleep, or we're not, like, showering, or we're not eating, or we're not taking care of ourselves, then we're much more likely to react and respond. Whereas when I look back at last year, I feel like I was, like, in sort of like more of like a victim mode, way more on edge. I kept on feeling like it was like motherhood and like parenthood was happening to me rather than for me. So the more that I look at, like, being a parent as just this, like, amazing meditation and growth constantly, the more I'm able to, like, rise to the plate and just, like, be there and react. Like, I very rarely react or respond with anger unless I'm, like, totally, you know, so overwhelmed, which hasn't happened for a really long time. I feel like I'm always just able to be like the rock that they need rather than meet them where they're at. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like we used to do that a lot more, where we would be like, if they were freaking out, we'd be like, wait. Yeah. Like, calm down, instead of just being actually calm.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's hard because you're in reaction. Yeah. But then now it's like, once you do it a bunch of times, you just realize, like, no, it's not going to help the situation if I'm just also, if they're all yelling and I'm like, stop yelling. It just makes no sense at all.
It makes no sense.
Even though that's just your jerk reaction, you know, is to shut down the situation, but it doesn't shut it down, and then it doesn't teach the reinforce or whatever, teach the actual action that you want to see.
Yeah, so in terms of modeling, you're literally modeling what you don't want them to do.
Yeah. Another thing that I realized that, like, I feel like our kids are good with, and I know it's very, like, Canadian thing too, is all the please and thank yous and all those things of being polite. And, like, I notice so much. I used to notice myself ask them to do things for me, or like, can you put your plate away or whatever, and when you're saying it in, like, a disciplinary voice, you think you're being disciplinary, saying, like, put your plate away and sit down at the table. But they're hearing that, and they're not, and then they're not hearing the please and thank you stuff when you're saying it. So then when they're saying something to you, then and they don't say please and thank you, you're saying, like, please and thank you, you're saying, like, say please and thank you, but they didn't get the modeling of it yet. So, like, whenever I'm asking them to do stuff or whatnot, even if I'm trying to discipline or just create structure or whatever, I'm always just trying to say please and thank you when I'm addressing them, so that they just know that that's normal, rather than trying to be like, say please and thank you. you just say it and then they automatically just say it. And it's just like what you model, they're gonna copy it.
That's it. It really is.
Even when you're trying to be the stronger, whatever figure to them.
Yeah, because there still needs to be boundaries,
right?
So that they can understand, and there is a lot of freedom within those boundaries. But it doesn't. Yeah, it's more like, that people used to, like with parenting, they would say, "Do what I say, not as I do," and it's like, maybe it's actually more like.
No. Well, that's exactly the problem, is that you're telling them, do as I say, not as I do, when that doesn't work to tell them. Like, you shouldn't never even need to say that saying if you're just doing it.
Right, exactly. And then you can just trust that they're going to follow.
Because that saying literally implies that kids do what you do.
Yeah. So true.
So just do what you want them to do, and then they'll do it, because they literally model themselves after you and they look up to you. And like Safia today, I heard her be like, "Are you okay, Rumi? Are you okay over there?" And like, they model what Safia does too. Yeah. So all the time, the girls always are like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Like, that's their thing.
Yeah.
And probably because Safia modeled it from us, and then they model from her. And
for sure.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I heard this thing that was like, gentle parenting is actually should just be called normal parenting.
Right.
Like, it's just normal. It's just parenting without yelling is basically what gentle parenting is. Because I think a lot of the time people think that gentle parenting is like letting the kids walk all over you.
Right.
Which is far from the truth. It's just parenting in a manner where you're respecting the kid.
And they respect you back.
And they respect you back. But if you're constantly
and then it never has to get to the yelling or angry phase. And we're not perfect. Like, we've had our moments. We've had to learn the hard way, right?
Totally.
But I feel like I'm getting better each time, each scenario, to, as long as my blood sugars are even and stuff too, that definitely helps me be calm. But it's definitely like consciously being like, okay, how can I approach this situation in a way that's going to diffuse it but also model the right kind of behavior.
Totally. No. And then that just comes back to having your cup being full. And it just feels good to feel like we're getting to this place where there has been growth, and then I think another really big shift that happened from last year was that I always used to talk about how hard twins were, and at every opportunity that I had to bring it up or to talk about it, I would, no matter what. It was just like, so that was like the hat that I was wearing, was that the twins are really hard hat, and that I have, we've got 3 under 5, and that it is hard, and so it was just like kind of this like narrative, and then like everything else would just follow suit. Because also another thing is that they're hearing you say that too, the kids, whether they actually hear you say it or they physically feel you, they're going to react and respond in that way.
For sure.
So I think once my mindset shifted around like, whoa, like I just want to be with my kids. I just love being with them. They're such a joy. And yeah, there's some challenging moments, but those are few and far between, because most of the time it's really amazing. And those hard days and those hard moments get overridden by my mindset of being like, this is really amazing. What a blessing. What a gift. And I couldn't see it in that way for the first little bit, because it just did feel so challenging. And definitely those first 2 years of having twins, like, yeah, it's a lot for sure. Not trying to undermine that, but I think the way that like our perspective on it shifted, and then once it shifted, it was like, I feel like now when I run into people, they're like, oh, you have twins, whoa, your hands must be full. I used to be like, yeah, they're so full, and then it would give me an opportunity to kind of like talk about how hard it was, and I'm just like, it's a blessing. I'm doing it with grace and ease, and everything has gotten so much easier from that place.
Yeah.
So it always just comes back to you. You know? Be the change you want to see in the world. So, yeah, no, I'm glad that's happened, and now the fall is starting, and it's going to be going through like a whole other upgrade.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll see what happens from here, but it's just like constant. It is like, if you want to go through the biggest frickin' life change in your life, then, and be constantly upgrading and growing and changing, have kids. Have kids, because it'll do it to you. You know, because they know your weaknesses too. Like they can, like, I remember hearing this, like, right when I had Safia, that when you have kids, it will bring up the unhealed parts of yourself. What do you think about that? You getting a phone call? Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, for sure, because they test your limits, right?
Did you feel like you had some shadow parts that came up when you became a dad?
It was like, just kind of the same stuff we were talking about earlier, like just being in reaction, or like I guess like dealing with just the reaction, and, you know, like my blood boiling when there's like so many things happening and the house is dirty and this and that and stuff that I never had to deal with before, because I was just on my own and just had my own mess, and whatever it was, like, it was all manageable. It's like so chill when you're a single person. When I just think about, like, when I had like a night the other night where I came back home because I had to work, and they stayed with her parents, so I was like alone in the morning. I just woke up and there's just like no sounds, there's no nothing, there's nothing waking me up, there's nothing I can like just stay in the bed, and like it's like kind of lonely, but you're definitely just like by yourself, and there's nothing testing you, there's nothing to like, nothing, you just can be chill. And when we have kids, then like all these things are happening, and you're kind of like, you know, your darkest parts kind of come up because you're like being so challenged.
Yeah.
And I feel like at first it was a lot harder for me to like manage my emotions, basically. And as time goes on, you kind of like learn from mistakes and stuff, and you just learn how to manage it, and how to focus your energy, and how to be better for yourself and for your kids and for your relationship and everything. And I feel like when people aren't ready to change in those moments, then that's when like parents end up splitting up and families are broken apart and everything, because they just weren't necessarily
not
willing to make the changes to grow and
allow it,
or not willing, but maybe you just didn't have them. Like, I was very lucky that, you know, we have so much family support, and my family gave me such a strong base that even when it gets rocky, I'm able to like analyze it myself and like drop my ego, and then, you know, try and be better. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't have that. Yeah. Right? And then they're just kind of like stuck, and then they're resentful of the situation, and then their relationship changes with their spouse from how it was before kids. Totally. So then they think like this is it. Like, I can't do this anymore, and then they leave or whatever, or whatever it is, and then yeah,
for sure.
I mean, you see parts of your partner that you never seen before, right? And
because all of
you
their
show
stuff,
all your true colors come out. Yeah,
all of their stuff will start to come out, and then all of the stuff from your childhood starts to come out, right? Because it's really easy to keep the stuff from your childhood under wraps when you don't have kids. But then when you have kids and you're like, well, I need to raise them like this because this happened to me and I don't want that to happen to them, and blah, 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 blah. Or I do want this to happen to them because I didn't have this, or I did have this.
Or
blah,
I
blah,
was
blah,
raised
blah.
like this, so then this is how we have to do it.
Exactly.
Or whatever.
So it's like joining those two worlds together can be, I mean, definitely challenging. But what was that initiation like for you, like becoming a father? Because I know I talk a lot about my initiation into motherhood and how big of a shock that was to me. What did that feel like for you from your perspective?
You know, it was kind of different. I mean, I definitely felt like changed and different from my peers because I was in theater school at the time too.
Yeah.
And I was only 22 years old, and
it's crazy.
So there was definitely like this sense of difference between the people that I had been around for the last year, where it was like, okay, I'm on a way different path than these people, even though we're in the same school and doing the same program. It was just like there's a clear difference between me and them, not in a way that felt separating, but like it just is, right? When you're done class, your focus is completely different from these other people. Like I had to go to class, come home, help when I could with Safia, and then go back or whatever and blah, blah, blah. Whereas other people can go home and take a nap or do work or work more on their stuff or what. Like it was just more focused on them the whole time. Whereas for me, it was like focused on other things. And not to say that other people didn't have other things going on, like with family or with friends or relationships or whatever. And I had, luckily in my class, one other person who had a young kid too. So we kind of related on that.
Right. Yeah, of course.
But I was very proud also, you know, like felt, you know, very proud to be a dad and doing this and, you know, telling people and I don't know what, so I was like in this whole different roller coaster, and it all just kind of was just all happening, and I don't even know if I really thought about it.
It's crazy.
More than that, but
what about like in terms of like freedom? Did you ever have this moment where you were like, oh my God, like my freedom is gone forever, or anything like that? Or
I mean, yes and no. I don't like no. I mean, really no, because I was like, because everyone who's telling me, oh, you're done, no more freedom, no more this, are people who just like didn't have kids and who are just projecting what they think having kids is like. And it was like, no, it's not that I'm losing my freedom. It's just that my freedom is changing. It's just with different, it's just there's no new person involved in my freedom. I don't know, like it's totally. Like this is just the purpose of life. Like you have kids and you reproduce and that's what's been happening for
since the dawn of time.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's not that I'm losing my freedom. It's just I'm just living life. Like I don't know. This is just a part of life. I don't know. Like how? What do you mean losing your freedom? Your freedom to what? Wake up at?
No, I mean I guess it's just that's just like what people jump to in conclusion when you think about like I know for me I went through my own like shift with that when I realized, because you know I'd gone through my labor and everything, and I remember being so tired, and normally if I had been awake for 3 nights in, you know, my matron life, I would have been able to just go home and sleep. Whereas after that experience, like of giving birth and then having a child, like I remember just being like, I would just want to go home and sleep for like, you know, 12 hours or whatever. And just having this feeling of, oh no, like we can't do that. Or like my parents aren't just gonna like watch after her. Like it was like 100% our responsibility. And then I felt like I just didn't sleep for like a long time, like really proper sleep, probably for 3 years. And I mean, we were just, I guess, because you were in school, so I was like watching after her full time. It was just a different experience. And then of course there was that story of what happened, because my birthday is a week after Safia's.
Yeah.
And so I had that realization, because like during my pregnancy, I was like the queen, and you know, everyone was like asking Matisse, how's Caitlin? How's Caitlin? How's Caitlin? We had this beautiful baby shower and everything like revolved around me. And then, you know, had Safia, and then, so that was her birthday. And then a week later was my birthday. And I literally had like unwashed hair, was like wearing Matisse's clothes, and you know, did nothing that day, like hardly even got to brush my teeth till 4 p.m. My mom came in to town to help me out. Matisse was in work. He was like, or was at school. You were there for like, you know, 12-hour days. And my mom like came in to help me. And then I think she'd been at our house for at least 2 hours before she looked at me and she was like, oh yeah, happy birthday. And
Caitlin was like all devastated.
Later on that night when we put Safia to sleep and I was alone with Matisse, I was like, babe, like no one cares about me anymore. Like, bah. And I had this like mini meltdown freak out. And what did you say?
Yeah, it was like, welcome to the club. Like that was 9 months ago for me. No one cared about me. And
yeah,
that's but
the funny thing is that I felt like I just went through that, and then like I was crying and everything, and then 20 minutes later I was laughing and I was just like, I don't care. It's and that was it. That was the end of it. Like I haven't had that thought since then. Do you know what I mean? Like I felt like my body and mind and soul needed to kind of like experience that, go through it and really understand it. And then now I'm just like, I could literally care less. I could care less. Because of course, like my kids are 100% my world and they're my priority, and I never think of like what I'm doing as a sacrifice for them. It's just a no-brainer. Like it's just, that's, you know, being a mother is my purpose, and it gives me so much fulfillment. So when I think about like, okay, yeah, like losing my freedom, whatever, all these sorts of things that people can say, it's like I wouldn't trade being a mother for the world. Like it just, it's everything to me.
But that's the thing is like, I think for sure for the mom, they have to be, there's more of a need for the mom to be around the kids more of the time. And you've definitely taken that on gracefully in the beginning. For sure. And as many times as I said, Caitlin, like, go do a class, go do a thing. Like you can go do all those things, you know, whether you like, it's not like you didn't feel like you had freedom. It's that you physiologically were like attached to the kids in 100%. A way that like that it's not even like mentally you're like, oh, I'm stuck. No, it's just like your body, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like you're not like, oh, I'm stuck. You're just like, I can't imagine myself not being with my kids because like they need me in these early stages 100%. So much. So like it was, yes, a bit of a challenge for you to break out of that and realize like, okay, they don't need you as much now that they're 2-3 years old.
Well, actually it's until 3 that you're sharing, you're literally actually sharing the same soul for the first 3 years. So it's like that's why it does feel so weird to be like apart and to, you know, to go and do something. It's because I'm like, I don't want to. This is the physiology of my brain is connected, and that's my purpose. Is I want to be here and do this
because of us working together and having our family and everything. Like it's not like you wouldn't be able to do things that you wanted to do.
No.
You you do think like we still have the freedom to do whatever we want as long as we plan around it and like plan it. Like I still went and played basketball. I mean, for the dad, it's definitely easier to, you're not as like physiologically like attached to,
it's different,
you know, physically attached to the kids, that in a way that you feel like your body's like reacting when you're not with them.
Yeah.
So like I would still go play basketball, do things like do projects, whatever. Like, and I feel like that's kind of the male provider instinct too, is to go out and be productive and do 100%. Stuff like outside of the home.
Yeah.
Even when I was here with the kids, I'd be like, okay, I need to go like do the garden or go do stuff just to feel like I was contributing. Mm-hmm. And so
it's so different. And
if I wanted to do
for a reason, by
like,
nature,
for sure. And like, you know, Dylan, sometimes my friend, he's like, let's go to LA like this year, let's go do some content, let's try and get like an LA acting agent and all this stuff. And I want to do that, but I know that like I really need to plan it ahead of time to make it work. I can't just be like on a whim, oh yeah, let's go, because I have all these responsibilities. It doesn't mean I'm not free to make that happen. It's just I can't just like book a flight and whatever, because I have other people to worry about. So it's like, yes, you're not as free, like you don't have the just ability to just do it, but it doesn't mean that it can't be done.
Totally.
Like you just have to organize it and figure it out and make sure all the pieces are lining up, and you know, making sure that you're going to maximize that time when you're away to best benefit you. Like there's not wasted hours. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm just going to book a trip to LA to like mess around for a couple of days and do nothing. That's not going to bring us benefit. It's not going to benefit us in some way. It's like, okay, if I'm going to do this, how am I going to maximize it to better myself and whatever for the future, right? Yeah. Like, and so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just became so incredibly motivated since having kids, like, because my purpose feels so much bigger, like, and my intention of what I want to create is bigger than myself. I now just feel like so inspired to do so many different things, which I didn't have before having kids. You know, like before having kids, I was just like, well, I'll just go to work and
you were like, just get my job at the staging company you're at, and
which was amazing for that time in my life,
which was great, but it was just ended there. It was not. No, you weren't like, oh, I'm gonna start my own business or whatever. You kind of that was near the end of it.
That was because I knew that I didn't want to go back to
work. Then you're like, how can I?
Kids, I always was like thinking, how can I? So I already did.
But that was just from but that was when you had kids. That's when you found out you're pregnant. Knew that before that, you weren't thinking about that.
No, that's so true. It was when I got pregnant that I was like, I have to create my own thing, because I never want to go back to like a 9-to-5 job or working for someone else, because I have to be able to pick my own schedule.
Right.
And that makes me really happy, you know, and I do consider myself to be a stay-at-home mom, but I'm like working and doing my own thing all the time, because that's my passion. Like I'm so passionate about what it is I'm doing. But then it also like, I do have to find a proper balance though, because it's like, okay, I'm trying to do this. I want to be,
one thing at a time.
I have to do one thing at a time, because it's like I try to wear like so many different hats because I do feel so motivated and so inspired. But at the end of the day, when I think about it, then I'm not being productive. But also the most important job for me is being a mother, is mother. When I'm, 100 years old and I'm in my bed and I think about what I did with my life, I'm not going to be like, oh, did I do this, or did I create this, or was I CEO, or was I busy my whole life? I'm going to think about being a mother.
You know what's funny is that I feel like I'm a stay-at-home dad.
It's funny. Yeah, for sure.
Even though like I work, 30, 40 hours a week. I mean, I work like 60 hours a week, really.
Well, when you include like
all of your projects and our projects,
Yeah.
like in your channel, and then working at the restaurant, and then dance, and then other jobs here and there. Like, I work a lot, but somehow I still feel like a stay-at-home dad, because I'm like, I have lots of time with my kids.
Yeah.
And I don't work a traditional 9 to 5. Like, I feel like because I don't work a traditional 9 to 5, I feel very involved with my kids, and that I'm not
missing out or
whatever. Around. Like, if I work at night or whatever, like, I'm working starting at 5 o'clock. Like, the kids are asleep by 7 o'clock. It's only a couple hours that I wasn't with them, and I'm usually with them the rest of the day, barring, you know, like an appointment or this or meeting up or whatever. But I don't know, I still feel like super involved, and like with all the choices and with the house and with everything. Like,
totally.
I'm not.
It's a good balance. I think we're still finding, like, I just want to get to a place where I can just feel like chill within myself, because I feel like I've had this like match that's like been lit in within my gut of like, but I want to do this done, and I want to do this, and there's so much that I see that I want to do, that I just have to be like, it's okay if I do less, you know, like more of that yin energy, which is exactly what masculine feminine is. Masculine is more like, you know, you're the provider, you're gonna go out and do those things, and you do. But like, sometimes I feel like I have to remind myself of like, it's okay. Like, if my day is taking care of my kids and watching after my kids, that is so fulfilling. That is so amazing. And that's for me where I start to just be like, what, you know, I know when it comes to like fighting for women's rights around, you know, working in equality and all these kinds of things. Yeah, for sure. But I think there has been something lost there when it comes to like you are successful for being a mom and being at home with your kids. Like, that is...
But that is feminism too, is protecting what motherhood is. Like, motherhood is sacred, and I think...
It is for sure. It's just like, that there's this one element as well that kind of, like, I feel like now you're expected to go back to work. Rather than just being like, no, I want to stay home with my kids. You know?
Yeah, but I feel like...
And that can be honored too.
Yeah. But that can be... That like... Feminism doesn't just have to be one thing. Like, it doesn't have to just be, okay, now we want to be working or whatever. It's like, yeah, we can fight for that, and also fight for strong mothers that are stay-at-home moms.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's what it is or that's what the status quo is. I'm saying that that's what you can...
That's what I think,
believe and do.
I don't really even... Yeah. I'm kind of trying to figure out feminism still.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, like, I've always considered myself to be a feminist, but I feel like I'm just like at this place now where I'm like, what does it mean?
Right, but that's what I'm saying. What you can make it mean is that.
Of course. Well, of course, the most important thing for me is that I, of course, believe in women's rights. So whether I call myself a feminist or not, I just believe in like
women,
rights.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like equality, I guess my point is that I think that if you choose to work and, you know, do all of those same things as a man, that's totally fine. Of course, you should be able to have the choice to do that. But that we're actually not maybe meant to be equal.
But not even equal. It's not even the word equal. It's just that, like, we just are different.
We are different. That's the thing. It's like
so we can use each other's strengths to benefit
to work together.
Whatever company it is or family or
for sure
or whatever it is. Like, it's like, let's use all our strengths in the right ways to just be successful as like a society and a community. It doesn't have to be same or whatever.
Or men are better than women, or men that, like, it's just
or
like,
deleting what gender is, or deleting it so that we're all just human, or like, you know, like, you don't have to disregard it to then be equal and then just be seen as humans or whatever. It's like, we can still all be human and all be men and women and all be different and all whatever, while just trying to be the best we can be together and with no ego and whatever.
Learn how to use each other strengths and weaknesses in this way, so that we can like build community and we can work well together, rather than it being this like us versus them thing, which I feel like that's what feminism can turn into a lot of the time. And then I kind of question whether that's like us going in the right direction or if that's going in the opposite direction. So that's something that I think about. But I feel like we're always finding like our way of finding balance with in our family and how we can do that. And I feel like actually a really positive way that we have found that is when we do talk about these conversations about, well, what are men's strengths? Because maybe when we look at that, and like before, I feel like there were some times where you would go off to basketball and I'd be like, oh, he's going to basketball and like I haven't gone to yoga or blah 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 blah. But like you just said, I always have the choice whether I want to go or not. It's just that there is something physiologically inside of me that is wanting to keep me here. And then when I think about the fact that you don't have the same attachment to being here because you didn't grow those babies in your belly, which you're not meant to. No. Then that of course makes sense as to why you would want to go off and do that thing. Or you're way more into doing the garden. You do all these things around the house that
whether it was me playing basketball or hunting or fishing or just putting out physical energy, that's just like what I had to do to balance myself. And if I didn't do that, then when I was in the home, I'd be more irritable or more this or whatever.
So true.
And so it was like I needed that so that when I was at home, I was the best version of myself. Whereas for the mother, you don't necessarily need that right away. It's just different.
Yeah, for sure.
And eventually you need it, or or you can do things in the home or whatever it was. But it was like, comparing yourself to me was just a disservice to yourself.
Yeah, so
because
true.
We have different roles as parents for our kids, and
it's meant to be different.
And it's not like there's a difference between me going to play basketball for a few hours to refuel myself, compared to me leaving the house for 4 hours to go to the pub or to drink or do something that's really escaping rather than nourishing and then coming back full to be the best dad that I could be. And it's not like I was like, oh, I'm just gonna leave for the whole day and leave you with the kids, like so I could just do whatever I want and have the freedom of what it was like. It was just it's so just true. Different.
Actually, now I'm like having there's this aha moment around this. I feel like the more that we've been able to like understand those rules more, like the easier it's become. Do you know what I mean? Instead of me being like, well, he's not like breastfeeding them, and it's like, well, duh.
Yeah.
He also didn't have the gift of creating life.
Right.
So
I'll never be as close to the girls as you. Yeah. 'Cause they're made in you. I mean, yeah, that's just normal.
It's just a different role for a reason.
For sure.
Yeah. No, that was a big aha moment for me, actually.
And
for sure.
And and back then maybe you didn't realize that as much, so you were kind of like, oh, he's going to play basketball, and I'd be like, well, you can go anytime to go yoga, like you can do that. And there was nothing stopping you. I was, because a lot of the time both of us would be at the house taking care of the kids when you could have been out if you wanted to, like when I was not busy in those times. But you just, it wasn't whether you thought you needed to or not, it wasn't like a priority in your brain or in your body to go do that. Whereas for me, it was like, no, I have, like, I'm going, like it was just, I was just doing it. As much as I said, go do it, you were not doing it. So what can you do? Right. And then that's where it gets confusing for people in couples, where then people are getting resentful about things that like don't even exist. You're just like creating it because society's telling you that that's how it's supposed to be.
There's very strong narratives around that. So that then the dad doesn't do anything, and it's like, well, I'm sure some don't, but at the end of the day, you we're always changing diapers. You're always cleaning. You're always doing all these things. But yeah, you know, you are going to have different things that you will feel called to do. Mm-hmm. No, that's definitely like actually an aha moment in my brain. I think that's helped us a lot, rather than just this like resentment towards your partner for like not doing the things that you do.
I could have had resentment of the girls not being attached to me as much as they were to you, and being like, oh, they don't love me as much, or blah blah blah, or making up whatever stories. Like, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
it's just literally because you birthed them, that's just gonna be how it is.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. No, it makes so much sense for sure. Yeah. No, it's good. Yeah. It's good. I think I think that shift has like brought us to a really healthy balance and a good place. And it's so funny because I was like watching Mad Men the other night and I was like, God, like, you know, obviously I'm not saying that we should go back to Mad Men times whatsoever, but I do think that there is an element to the, you know, the male provider role and going out and working, and then the mom being at home, you know, homesteading with the kids. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Of course not.
But now it kind of like, I think what I mean again with like the whole feminist narrative is that like that does seem like the worst thing in the world, where it's like, well, now you just go drop your kids off for someone else to raise them, right, for you to go to work and for you to go, and now you're a two income family, whereas before, back in the 50s, you were able to just have dad go off to work. It was just one parent that had to be able to buy a house and to support the family. Mm-hmm. Now it has to be two.
And now someone who has nothing to do with how your kids were birthed or conceived or born is raising your kid.
Right.
So then, like, what's the point? I don't know.
No, for sure.
I know it's much more complicated than
there's
how I
there's
just
a lot
put
of nuances to that, but it's also, it's something to think about and to really consciously be like, you know, can I make it work being at home, or do I have to go to work? Some women want to go back to work. Mm-hmm. That's their choice. You know, that's totally cool. You want to go drop your kids off. Some people don't want to be around their kids. But for us, we've been like, I want to be the people raising my kids. Yeah. You know? And that's not always easy too. But again, at the end of the day, I know that I'm always going to feel best about that choice and to be there. And not in this like martyr sense of like, we have to, it's gonna be hard and we have to do this. No, we've been able to like create this really healthy balance of around work and spending time with them and taking care of ourselves and also spending time together. And yeah, it's been a journey, but I feel like it's been really great. Yeah. And I'm proud of us. I'm proud of how far we've come, and it's good to be able to like look back on this like a year ago and see how much growth we've had. And
this is literally
just the beginning.
The tip of the iceberg. Like the kids, like Safi's just 5. Like that's 5 years. So much has happened in 5 years. Mm-hmm. And then the next 5 years, and then the next, like, she's gonna be 10, and then she's gonna be 15, and then she's gonna be 20, and then she's gonna be 25, and she's gonna be having her own, like, it's like this is just the tip of the iceberg. And sure. the like, yeah, I just can't even imagine.
When I talk to people that have teenagers, I'm like,
ugh, yeah,
what? Like, we're just in totally different stages in our, you know, parenting journeys.
So many different challenges are going to come up that we're not even thinking
like
about.
Someone I was telling me was just like, you stare, like it's like stairs. You go up, then you level out, then the kids grow again, and then you have to kind of grow up with them, and then they level out, and it just keeps on going.
Society changes too, right? Like society is ever changing, and how we deal with our kids and how our kids deal with society and blah blah blah. Like, you're always having to readjust and reanalyze and see what's happening. And I mean, the world was way different in 2018 when Safia was born to now.
Like, when I think about that, I can't even believe how much has changed. Like, I mean, everything really.
No, yeah.
In just a short 5 years,
Yeah.
it was, you know, the whole world just went on a complete axis for 2 to 3 years, and who knows what's going to happen next. It's definitely got to keep our kids close, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's good.
For sure.
That was really nice conversation.
That was
and
good.
I'd like to do it again, you know, if you'll have me.
Yeah. We'll see. You got to schedule yourself in.
Yeah. I'm really proud of you and proud of us. And
I'm proud of you too, babe. Thanks for just being an amazing father and role model for so many dads that, like, I feel like you're paving the way for so many dads to come as well, because, you know, you're just tapped into embodying your dad role, and it's
anything else? No.
I think next time we definitely have to talk about like the birth.
Yeah, we can do like a whole birth episode, but
for sure. For now, let's wrap it up. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening to this week's episode. And please leave a review
or a comment if you're watching on YouTube.
Share,
thank you,
like,
and you know, if you're watching on
join
YouTube,
the conversation as well. Leave a, you know,
you can listen on
all the platforms of listening to podcasts.
Well,
we're not sure.
Apple
We're
Podcasts
still trying to
and
figure
Spotify.
it out.
For sure.
Yes.
Those two. And
there
then,
might be more. We don't know.
If you're listening on one of those platforms, you know, there's the video version on Caitlin's YouTube. So make sure you go check that out and subscribe. And she just hit 50K recently, which is huge. And
woot woot.
So yeah. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.